lonely walk through the snow. H Block 6, Longcash, November 1980. In early November 1980 we were shipped out of H4, the first time since June 1978, after men from the conforming blocks returned to the protest for the hunger strike. We arrived in H6 on a cold and overcast day, and were met by a parade of blue-clad prison guards in a circle, all staring at us as we filed naked past them. The screws in this block had a different approach and attitude towards us compared to the guards in H Block 4, which was rather strange. There was no policy of severe beatings in H6 at that time, rather a policy of starvation and psychological warfare, which was at times worse. Along with the meagre food rations, which again gnawed away at our morale, they kept the cell lights on for most of the day, which resulted in sore eyes and headaches. We tried to solve the problem of the lights by spreading our excrement over the perspex light bulkhead on the ceiling, which reduced the light output and dimmed the glare to a degree. On a number of occasions, when the screws opened the cell doors, they commented, "Oh, disco lights in the H blocks, very good," referring to the yellow hue of the light. At this particular time, with the hunger strike in full swing, we were enthusiastic and fairly confident of victory, especially with the dark leading the charge. We believed in our hearts that the final solution to the H Block crisis was just around the corner, and expected a settlement to be forthcoming before Christmas 1980. Before I had left H4 in early November, I had a good conversation with Kieran Doherty, Big Doc, and Pat McKeown. I had raised the subject of whether to continue with the entertainment in the wings or to postpone until after the hunger strike, with Pat suggesting that all forms of entertainment cease, and Kieran Doherty advocating that it continue in the interest of morale. In the end, it was decided that the entertainment should continue, and it did. In the month of November, I had a visit with a priest from my local area, Lanadoon, Father Matt Wallace, who surprised me when he quoted figures of people attending hunger strike rallies throughout the country. When he seen the expression on my face, he said, I know you don't believe me, but there were 40,000 people at a march at the weekend and another 10,000 at another march up the country. Seamus, the people are finally getting the message and are coming out in their thousands to support you, men and the women in Armagh, so hang on in there and keep the faith. When I told the men in my wing of this great news, especially coming from a local priest, they still didn't believe me, so I had to give up and retire to my mattress. I started to dare to believe that the long years of hunger, hardship and suffering on an immense scale was at long last drawing to a close. Eventually, we started to talk of food parcels being allowed in from our families, containing real food like steak, chicken, proper bacon, etc. We dared to dream of a long walk in the sunshine, or the feeling of the rain on our faces, or catching the last rays of the summer sun. We dreamt among ourselves of bathing again, of washing the stench and death from our bodies, and feeling alive once more, and returning to civilization. The news began to filter in that Margaret Thatcher, the British Prime Minister, could not allow a blanket man to die on hunger strike. It was inconceivable, and the North Americans could not allow it to happen either, especially as they had a special relationship with the British, so it was all looking good at that particular time. The entertainment continued, but gradually in a lower key, as we kept vigil, keeping a close eye on our 7 comrades in hunger strike in the prison hospital. They were our main priority now, and we were depending upon them to finish the job, defeat the British in the field and secure victory. The stakes were never so high. During this period I was called for a visit and walked out of H6 and into the snow. The screw escort was a man called Mr. O'Flaherty with a distinct Southern Irish accent, who had never assaulted me, but was full of arrogance and self-importance. As we walked through the snow on a bitterly cold afternoon, heading towards the visiting area, he drew up alongside me and suddenly began to talk. "You see, look at you, Kearney, you look terrible, if you don't mind me saying so. This protest that you've been on since 1977 is totally pointless and is going nowhere. And as for this hunger strike, well, it's going nowhere either, and will result in absolute failure too. The only people supporting you on the outside are your families, nobody else, because most decent people have no time for the likes of you and couldn't care less." I ignored him as we walked along in the wind and the snow. When we passed a large football pitch, I noticed a group of prisoners playing soccer and inquired who they were from Mr. O'Flaherty, and he replied, "They are all conforming prisoners, some loyalists and some Republicans. But you too could be that prisoner, Kearney, if you had a bit of sense about you. They are enjoying the fresh air and getting plenty of exercise and good food because they have made the correct decision and are heading towards the front gate and a release date, whereas you have made the wrong decision and are heading away from the front gate in your release date. As we walked on, leaving the football pitch behind, I said back to him, "You said earlier that I look terrible, and I feel terrible too. But I am a soldier, and I want to be recognised as such. And if that means losing all of those privileges that you talk about, then so be it, because I don't really care anymore. All I care about now is to be recognised for what I am, a soldier, and not a common criminal." The screw then shook his head from side to side in despair and muttered under his breath, "You, Kearney, are beyond the pale. I really can't help you." We reached the visits. In my head I thought only time would tell if I was wrong or if history would remember us. Only time.